Yes, I'd like to wish everyone a beautiful, beautiful Shabbos. I hope everything is going well. I hope you guys had a beautiful week. The parsha for this week is Parshas Lech Lecha, where Hashem tells Avram, leave your land, leave your city, and leave the house of your father. So I believe it's the Klei Chemda. Yes, Lech Lecha means turn to yourself. It should mean just Lech, not Lech Lecha. So what Hashem is telling Avinu, only when you reach to Eretz Yisrael, only when you get to the land of Israel, when you get into Eretz Yisrael, only when you get to Eretz Yisrael will you reach yourself. Only when you get to Eretz Yisrael, Hashem Sa'avam, will you reach what you're supposed to reach, will you reach your potential. That's Shat of Lech Lecha. The Ksav Sofer had another incredible question. If you look at the end of last week's Parsha, it says Avinu went with his father Terach, and they went to Haran. So he was out of his land. He was out of his city. So what's Hashem telling in this week's Parsha? Avram, please leave the land you grew up. Leave the city. He was no longer in the land. He was no longer in the city. He was in Haran. So the Ksav Sofer said, no, but now that Hashem told him to leave his father's house, now that Hashem told Avram, leave the house of Terach, it brought back all the memories of the country he grew up. It brought back the memories of the city he grew up in. So that was a test in itself, because he was, I don't know about you, but I have memories when I grew up, and it brought back all those memories. And you're telling someone, please cut the ties to your past completely. Cut those ties to your past. Not only your father's house, but cut the ties to the land you grew up in, the city you grew up. The Ksav Sofer said when Hashem told Avin to leave Haran, to leave Terach, even so they were in Haran, so they're no longer in the city or the country. It was reliving all the memories of his past, living in the country and leaving the city. And Hashem said that you have to remove that in order to grow. There's no other way to grow if you don't remove it. Then the Beis Avraham says Bechach Chosmim. We end the first brach of Shmoneh Esrei. You end Magen Avraham. Not Magen Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, but Magen Avraham. Why do we end Magen Avraham? So Beis Avraham said because Avram stands for Emunah, Bitachon, belief in Hashem. I don't know about you, but if Hashem would come to me, Lavi, please leave America. I live in Queens. Leave Queens. Leave your parents' house. And I would say, okay, Hashem, I would, but it's a test of believing in Hashem. And of course, if you look through Avinu's life, the Kedah, not having a child till he was 99 years old, these are all tests of Emunah, believing in Hashem. So that's why we end Magen Avraham. So Beis Avraham said that's why we end Magen Avraham, because today, especially in today's time, we need Emunah and Bitachon in Hashem. The only way we can go on, and when they say we're in Ikva de Mashiach right now, the only way we continue in Ikva de Mashiach if we believe in Hashem like Avinu did. Magen Avraham, we ask Hashem, please, the Koch of Emunah that Avram had, the Koch of Emunah that Avram had in you, Hashem, please put that in us, so we can continue on with our lives. And there's an incredible story. I forgot which Rav told me, or someone told me, but there was a Jew, a Yid, I believe he was being held by a Russian soldier, and the Jew told the Russian soldier, no, you can't kill me. He goes, what do you mean? I can pull this trigger, you're dead. He goes, no. My God, Hashem could kill. If Hashem decides I'm going to die, then I'll die, but not you. You don't decide if I die. Only Hashem decides I'm going to get killed. And the guy goes, that's not true. And they're debating. And finally the soldier goes, I can't take it anymore. And he throws the gun down and walks away. He walks away from the Jew, throws the gun down, and walks away because he's frustrated. Because Hashem decided that Jew does not need to die. And I forgot the word who said this, but when you believe in Hashem sincerely, you'll be above laws of Teva. You'll be above nature. You'll be living to the laws according to Hashem. And V'chaim V'lazhin, just adding on, V'chaim V'lazhin said, when you're in times of danger, you think about Eino Mevado. Eino Mevado means there's nothing but Hashem. There's nothing but Hashem. I can ask you a local word, but Eino Mevado, but if you believe Eino Mevado is nothing but Hashem, you'll remove yourself from danger. And they said the Brisker family, that's how they escaped from Nazi Germany, because they kept saying Eino Mevado. And I believe they were in a caravan, and the Nazis said, I hear some noise in there. And he looks in and doesn't see anything. He goes, no, there's no one in there. And because one of the Ravs said to his child, did you really believe in Eino Mevado? It caused when you and I don't know what it means that you really believe, because obviously all do believe, but it's the Eino Mevado, meaning they all believe the Eino Mevado, and therefore Hashem made them as if they couldn't even appear to a human being. So you see the power of Amun and Hashem, which is so important, like Avinu had, and that's why we ask Hashem, please, we want to be like Avinu. We want to be just like he had the koch. We want to have the koch. Then Rabbi Glock, he's a Rebbe in Yeshiva Yisodi Yeshua in Queens. I think he quoted the Chafetz Chaim. Pick it up. He said, "Emor ma'at v'asei habe." Do little, say little and do a lot. Chafetz Chaim said, you see this in this week's Parsha. Hashem tells Avinu, you're going to be in a land, your children are going to be in a land that's not for them. And obviously the people are going to, enslave them and all that, and I'm going to judge them. That's what Hashem says. All I'm going to judge them. And judge them means that I'm going to punish them. That's all it means, right? So I don't know about you, when I think of a punishment, okay, go to jail for 10 years. But if you look at, especially in the Haggadah, according to Shittas, Rabbi Akiva and other, how many makos the Egyptians got, and how they died in Kriyas Yamsuf. If you look, I think it comes out like 250 makos, and they died in Kriyas Yamsuf, because that's what Chafetz Chaim said, Emor ma'at v'asei habe. Hashem said little, but he did a lot for the Jewish people. Then Hashem said, I'm going to put them in a land lo lahem, that's not theirs. So the Chidah said a beautiful word. The Chidah said, what do you mean lo lahem? The land of Egypt was not even belonging to the Egyptians. I believe if you look right before Parshas Vayechi, the Egyptians, the famine in Egypt was getting harder and harder. So the Egyptians sold their land to the Egyptian government for food, for money so they can buy food. So the Chidah said, so the Chidah, by Glock explained the Chidah, when you're in a land, example, like let's say we live in America. I live in America. I don't know where everyone else lives, but I live in America. If I know America is not my home, Israel is my home. So I don't feel so comfortable here because it's not my home. But when you're a stranger in someone else's land, and they're homeless also, just like I'm kind of homeless and they're homeless, it makes it easier for me. It makes it easier when I'm homeless, if I'm staying in a land that's everyone's homeless, where I'm homeless also, so it makes it easier for me. So Chidah said that's why Hashem caused the Egyptians to sell their land to the Egyptian government. So therefore, when the Jewish people went to Egypt, they didn't feel like they're the only ones who are homeless. They don't feel like they're the only ones who don't own land. They looked around and they saw all the Egyptians didn't own land just like us. So So Hashem made it easier for the Jewish people. They don't feel strange. They don't feel abnormal. They don't feel like they're out of the norm, like we say. Just like they don't feel like they're out of the norm, because they don't, Hashem wanted to make it easy for Bnei Yisrael. And therefore, since Bnei Yisrael didn't have land, Hashem made sure the Egyptians didn't have land either. So Bnei Yisrael can feel a little more comfortable. I'll leave you off with one more beautiful word. The Chaim HaKadosh said this. It said after Hashem promised Avinu everything, if you look, it's a lot of, Hashem gave Avram a lot of reward. The Chaim HaKadosh said Avram Avinu brought a korban to say thank you to Hashem. Right? He brought a korban on meeting or talking to Hashem. If you look carefully at the Pesach, it said Avram Avinu gave a korban on being able to talk to Hashem and meet Hashem. So the Chaim HaKadosh says you see the greatness of Avinu. Avinu didn't care about the money he was going to get. He didn't care about the land. You know what's Avinu's greatest pleasure and greatest happiness? That he was able to talk to Hashem. And he was able to meet Hashem. That's what gave Avinu the greatest happiness. Now, there's one more word I forgot. I thought it was a beautiful word. The Barbanel says, Hashem tells Avinu, you're going to be like the Kochavim, the stars. So Barbanel says, during the day there are stars. There are stars out during the day. But you only see them at night. At night you only see the stars. So Barbanel said, why? Because night represents dark times, represents times of sorrow, of Yisurin, of trouble. So Barbanel said, when the Jewish people face sorrows, when they face Yisurin, they're like stars. That's when they shine the most. The Jewish people shine the most when we're in trouble, when we have sorrows, when we have anti-Semitism, whatever Yisurin we have against us. That's when we shine the most. And that's why Hashem's telling Avinu, your children are going to be stars, because they're going to shine the most. They're going to be the most brightest at night. When they face sorrows, they're going to even become greater. And you hear stories from the Holocaust, how incredible tzaddikim, how people, the Klausenberger Rebbe, how people shine the most. I'll leave you off with a story. My father told me this incredible story once at the Seder table. Let's call the guy Ruvain. Ruvain was being carried out by the Nazis to get killed. Yimach Shemo, the Nazis, and Reuven threw something to Shimon. So Shimon, of course, saw it's food, and he opened up, he saw it's tefillin. So Shimon the next morning got up at the earliest possible, let's say 5 in the morning, the earliest time possible, in tefillin. And he was wrapping tefillin, of course he was happy. And the Nazis came in. Nazis said, Shimon, you're to appear at court 12 o'clock today for what you did. Okay, obviously it's pure anti-Semitism, pure Son of Yisrael. And of course, Shimon knew it's not a real court, and the court ruled that Shimon has to be hung. So they're about to hang Shimon, and Shimon said to the Nazis, can I have one last request? Okay, fine. I want to put on the tefillin. So Shimon's wrapping the tefillin, and he's wrapping the tefillin. And he said the Jewish people, the Jews watching him were crying. And Shimon said back to him, I think in Polish, we will beat them. We will beat the Nazis, don't worry. And they took the noose off Shimon, they started smacking him. And he collapsed. And they told another Jewish guy, okay, bury him in the dead, because they thought he was dead. The Jewish guy saw that he was a little bit alive, so he covered him up with newspapers. And Shimon hid under the bunks during the war, and people gave him food. And after the war, a woman came up to Shimon and says, I want to marry you. Shimon goes, I don't even know who you are. The woman goes, I saw how you stood up to the Nazi regime, how you were so proud to put on tefillin. I want to marry you. And they said the Klausenberger Rebbe made a ksuv on the spot, and they got happily married. But the message of the story, you saw how Shimon shined the greatest when the Nazis tried to afflict him. Because the Jewish people only become greater when we become afflicted. Now, the story about the Brisker Rav, I don't think it was one of his children who had Eino Mevado, who didn't have the proper kavanah. It was probably not one of his children. I don't know, someone in that caravan, but I'm not sure, but I'm not sure it was one of his children. But someone in that caravan did not have proper kavanah, and that's how the Nazis heard some noise. But then it went back to. And I'll leave you off with one quick halacha. The Magen Avraham says this. Let's say you come to shul Friday night. You're in shul Friday night, Shabbos night, and you just go into your pocket stam and you pull out a $100 bill with a credit card. So now you're in shul holding a $100 bill wrapped around a credit card, and it's in your hand. What do? So Magen Avraham says, as long as it is in your hand, you can run home and drop it there. You can run, and after you drop it, you can't move it anymore. That's for sure. But you can run home and put it wherever you want. As long as it is in your hand, you could move it wherever you want and put it down wherever you want. Not a problem at all on Shabbos, but as long as it's in your hand. Now, obviously, we say you can run home and carry it as long as there's an Eruv. We're talking as long as there's an Eruv. I'd like to wish everyone a Gevaldik Shabbos, and everything should go well. And we shall speak hopefully next week. Bye-bye.